Welcome to the 10-Minute Mind Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Janet Cagle, certified life coach, weight loss coach, and lover of all things related to upleveling my life and yours. My goal is to help you get one step closer to your goal, whatever it is. My goal is not to keep you wrapped up in self-help all day, just 10 minutes. And who doesn't have 10 minutes, right? Welcome back, friend. This is episode number 125 and 4 steps to the most impactful love. We just celebrated Valentines Day in February, and so I thought it would be cool to continue the discussion of the most impactful love. Let's just dive right in. Self-love. What comes up for you when I say that? When you hear those words, what are your thoughts? Now, I will admit that the term self-love used to make me bristle. If I think about it too much, it still does. It's some of the work that I still do, mainly because of the way I was raised and the numerous times on the daily that I was told I was being selfish, in which my little brain translated into loving oneself more than loving others. Now, 50-some years later, and so much more information, I know that self-love means that you are creating more of yourself that is not only available to others, but there's more of you available for you. And that is the best. Commercially, we are sold that self-love is how we take care of our outer self, the self that is visible to the world. It's sold to us as manicures and skin creams and massages and spa treatments. I remember when I was a kid, I loved watching Days of Our Lives, and the commercial that became a cultural statement was, "Calgon, take me away." In other words, when life gets hard and you want to escape and make it feel better, buy some Calgon and it will be all better. In other words, the answer is outside of yourself. There is a multi-billion-dollar industry waiting in line to take our money in exchange for what they market and sell as self-love. But when we think of it as that, it's kind of like the only way we take care of our house is to paint it or decorate it, but we don't give any attention to the mechanics of it. Or if we only shined up the hood of our cars and we never looked under the hood and took it in for an oil change, we would not be maintaining the entire vehicle, only the outer part. There is another self that we have that is on the inside that we don't pay attention to. We don't pay enough attention to it. We ignore it. We abandon it. We shush it. We rely on others to maintain it. As humans, and especially women humans, we spend a lot of time zhuzhing up the outer parts of us, the parts that other people see. We do it and thinking and telling ourselves that we're doing it for us. We tell ourselves that we do it to make us feel good. And listen, I'm right there with you. But think about this. Think about how we managed our outer shell when we started working from home during COVID. I have pierced ears like most people, but I know that my ears are nearly closed up now that I work from home because I stopped wearing earrings. Here's what's so crazy. I always had the notion that I was dressing for me and managing my self-care was because it made me feel good about myself. If that's true, why did I stop wearing earrings when I stopped seeing people in person? Why did I stop wearing makeup? What was I doing for me? Exactly. I was making sure that I showed up perfectly to the world, of course. Now, I'm not advocating that you don't dress up and groom, etc. I just want to make sure that you are clear on the difference between self-love and self-care and your grooming habits. If you're like me, while you may be presenting yourself to the world in the most impeccable manner, impeccably dressed and coiffed, your inner self may be due for some maintenance or maybe even a complete renovation. We hear a lot of self-help gurus talking about self-love, and they have been for years. This is an area that I have always struggled with, probably for the reason that you are struggling with it. The notion of self-love might even make you bristle a little bit, just like me. It's no wonder, really. If you put self-love in a Word doc and then do a thesaurus lookup, here's what comes up. Egotism, selfishness, narcissism, self-centered, vanity, conceit, but also self-esteem and self-respect. Doesn't that seem a little ironic to you? It's no wonder that we struggle with the term self-love. It's contradictory by definition. As young humans, we are taught how to treat others, and it's done in a way that allows little regard for our own feelings and desires and needs. How many of us were told to stop being so selfish and let Susie have the doll or play with our toys? I've told this story before, but when my daughter was young, 2 or 3, she was meticulous about how she kept her room. Her toys were all lined up in an order. I actually have pictures of her vacuuming her own room under her bed at a very early age. I really have been truly blessed with this child. One day, a friend popped down and brought her 3-year-old little boy, and he literally ran past me at the door straight into my daughter's room and started playing with her toys. And I will never forget my daughter's face. She looked up at me, and I really have no idea what she was thinking, but judging by the look on her face and hearing her little voice whisper, "Oh no," the thought that came to mind was that she must be thinking was, "Look at what he's doing in my room with my toys. I worked so hard on cleaning my room, and now look at it." I imagine that's what I would be thinking if this mother ran past me at the door and started rummaging through my house. These are the moments as parents we typically break into the learning to share lesson and your feelings are not as important as how you make others feel lesson. And I am all for teaching how to share, but I think this is also where we learn how to be people-pleasing and amiable and agreeable at the expense of our own needs and desires. My daughter had a strong desire for a clean and tidy room. She loved and valued her toys, just like we want our children to value the things that we give them. How quickly, though, in these scenarios, we teach them to share at the expense of things that they desire and value. How quickly we teach them that the other person's feelings are more important than our own, and we learn that we must be selfish if we want to feel important and valued too. So we learn this, and we never learn how to love ourselves and value ourselves without sacrificing ourselves. As humans, we find ourselves letting others have a place and space in our lives without regard to the cost it is bringing to our own self. We don't want to appear selfish, but not considering yourself first is taking away from others and using them as an excuse. I want you to really think about that. We don't put ourselves first oftentimes because, after all, being selfless is so admirable, right? We find ourselves doing things we don't enjoy, doing things we really wished we were bold enough to have said no thank you to. And here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. You exercising self-love does not take away from anyone else, ever. It actually creates more of you, expands you, and that's what's better for you and everyone that you love. Today, I want to give you a mind shift on what self-love is and why it's critical and how to exercise it. Ready? Buckle up. If we define self-love and self-care as putting our own oxygen mask on first, what does that mean? At the very core, for you, meeting our own needs and our heart's desire, for you, what does that mean? Do you know what your needs are? You need to identify that. Do you know what you need? We can be so out of alignment with ourselves that we don't even know what we are in need of or what we desire. So I want you to really think about that. Do you need quiet time or do you need people time? Do you need to be heard? Do you need security and safety? Do you need appreciation? Do you need tenderness and kindness, affection and softness? Do you need compassion? Do you need more joy in your life or adventure? Do you need and desire understanding and nurturing? Do you need a cheerleader or an advocate? I want you to tune into yourself and really ask yourself, what is it that you need? We get so upset when other people let us down because they don't show up in a way that makes us feel better. But what I want you to think about today is how have you been showing up for you in all the areas of your life in which you have a need or a desire? Have you ignored you, abandoned you? Have you shushed your inner self? There's a reason that we call it self-love, because it's our responsibility and ours to figure out what it is that you need and then set out to meet that need. It's up to you to be that and bring that need and desire into your reality. It is not your friend's job, kid's job, hubby's job, boss's job, or coworker's job. There's a part of you that you have not examined. You may even think that with all of the self-care that you exercise, that you really have no reason to still feel crappy, and that just compounds how bad you feel about yourself. And it's because you're solving for the outside of something that's happening on the inside. All right, so I know that this one's going to be running a little long, but I really want to drive this point home. A couple of years ago in our previous house, I had a fan that I would run in one of our bathroom floors to keep the moisture at bay. We suspected that we had a slow leak behind the wall, right behind the toilet. as a result. And as a result, it was creating moisture under the floor. But notice how I am solving an interior problem with an exterior device. Until I dug into the interior of the wall, I would continue to have the same issue. So if number one is to know your need or heart's desire, number two is to examine what it would take for you to meet that need or heart's desire. Notice I didn't say what someone else could do. What are your options? What options and opportunities do you want to create for yourself that would start filling up your cup first? I know that you might think that there's no way that you could possibly ever start focusing on your heart's desire because it would freak out everyone around you. I get it, but here are 4 impactful things that you can do for the most impactful love. All right, here you go. Number 1, every morning, look in the mirror, look at yourself without shame, guilt, or judgment and say, I love you. Take a moment to really soak these 3 important words in. And if you find yourself interrupted by objections or negative thoughts that enter your mind, repeat the words again with care and conviction as if you were saying it to the most important human in your life, because you are. Remember, negative thoughts are just a story, and you have the power to flip the script and change how it all goes down. All right, number two, pay yourself a compliment. This will require that you notice you. And that is the point. Say it out loud and then write it down. Number 3, write down 3 things that you love about yourself. Again, the point is to notice you. Do this without repeating yourself. What you will find with this exercise is that you are consciously looking for the lovely parts of you instead of ruminating on what you loathe. All right, and then number 4, finally, at the end of the day, write down something that you are most proud of from the day. I don't know how this episode hit you, but I hope that it gave you a different lens in which to see yourself and to own your own internal care requirements. You are the most important human in your loved ones' lives. Don't put yourself last for one more day. Your humans want to see you doing the thing that fills you up the most, I promise. Make sure that you have said yes to you before you say yes to another person. I promise you, you will live, they will live, no one will die in the process. In fact, everyone will not only survive, they will thrive. And who knows, you might make that little dream that you can't let go of a reality. You might actually create a life by design. And you might actually find out that you, my dear, are the best human ever. That is what I have for you this week. Let me know if this struck a chord with you. Now, go have the best day ever. That's a wrap. I hope that you were able to experience a mind shift of your own today. Listen, if you loved this podcast, you should totally check out my Life by Design 6-week bootcamp. It's a work at your own pace workshop and something that you can do over and over and over again to uplevel your results and get ready for a transformation at the speed of life.